I said on Tuesday when we got to know Manjushri a little bit, that these bodhisattvas aren't distant archetypes to me. They're my friends. Manjushri sits right on my kitchen counter above my sink as my friend and my teacher every day. I realized as I was studying to come here and talk about Samantabhadra, that Samantabhadra is the bodhisattva that I, of the ones we're covering, that I probably least have a personal relationship with. So I'm kind of excited. It's like, oh, this is a friend I really haven't paid close attention to. But two of my good Dharma friends, both of who became abbots at San Francisco Zen Center, Steve Stuckey and Blanche Hartman, Samantabhadra was their guiding bodhisattva. So I want to say something about that after we study Samantabhadra a little bit, or get to know Samantabhadra a little bit. So this is Samantabhadra. In some ways, it's like words are almost too much. It should just be like, just sit with Samantabhadra and find out what Samantabhadra has to. I need to put Samantabhadra someplace more prominently, where I see him, her every day, and let him, her teach me. There's also on the chairs, I put out some Xeroxes of Samantabhadra, just so you know, there's lots of different manifestations. I'll hold this up for people on screen. There's one, and here's another one. You could look them up, and of course, there's also Tonkas. So let me say some things about Samantabhadra. Then we'll see what Samantabhadra might have to say or do with us. There's one there too. If somebody in the back row with Marianne doesn't have one, or you can share them around. So Samantabhadra is the bodhisattva of enlightening activity in the world and the function of wisdom. So Samantabhadra and Maitreya are often paired because Maitreya is the Buddha bodhisattva of wisdom, of emptiness, and Samantabhadra is, one could say, the elephant walking forth out of the emptiness to share practice with the whole world. I'm sharing some things that Taigen says. Samantabhadra embodies the luminous web of the interconnectedness of all beings and the radiant visions that express it. And the name Samantabhadra means universal virtue. Being on an elephant represents the application of wisdom to actively benefit the world. And Samantabhadra is the principal bodhisattva in the sutra, the Avatamsaka Sutra, or the Flower Ornament Sutra, which I was thinking I should have brought it because, I mean, just read, it's like the Avatamsaka Sutra is about this thick. There are people at Zen Center who have done, over the years, they form little study groups, and what they do is they just get together every week and they just read a small portion of it, not studying it or just reading it. And I've understood it's taken them years. But the teaching always is just even to come into contact with a sutra is already an incredibly auspicious thing to happen in a lifetime. And it has really good merit, and it it's one of those kind of mystical, magical things about Buddhism that I love. That part of it is you can just all come up and touch Samantabhadra's and pat Samantabhadra's head at the end if you want. I go more with the principle of it couldn't hurt as long as it doesn't do any harm. Okay, so the iconography. Here's a visualization that's offered sometimes. You can, if you want to close your eyes. I'm not going to do it as a formal visualization, but you can sort of get the feeling of it. They keep saying he.
Change it.
We decided on Tuesday that we're going to say they. We're going to change the pronoun to they. They, or he, she, sits on a lotus mounted on the back of a 6-tusked, 7-legged magical white elephant. And with every step of the elephant's steady gait, Dharma wheels containing white lotuses spring up beneath its feet as they are about to touch the ground. We're into some serious magic and visualizations here. Samantabhadras riding majestically on their slow mount has a feeling of calm, deliberate activity imbued with clear, considered intention and dignity. And I can't help but think that when Suzuki Roshi wrote, when they wrote the little chapter and brought forward his words of walk like an elephant, he must have been talking about Samantabhadra and the elephant. Now, one of the things is that's kind of wonderful, and it's in one, you can sort of see it in one of these pictures, is although Samantabhadra appears serene and poised, but kind of lacking in emotion, the elephants are quite expressive. You might even want to Google this. They're even wildly hilarious with wide and amazing grins. Now, isn't that cool? Samantabhadra is completely at ease and present and serene, riding this kind of wild, giddy elephant, which maybe that's, I don't know. Well, I feel that way a lot. Part of me's serene and, maybe walking with some kind of grace and dignity in the world, but there must be an elephant in me that's giggling wildly all the time. And so how do you embody all of this? And it gives permission for it, which is really kind of lovely. Okay, here's the final book of the Flower Ornament Sutra, or the Avatamsaka Sutra. Describes Samantabhadra sitting on a jeweled lotus flower. And from every pore of their body emanates clouds of light beams that relieve the suffering of beings and increase the joy of bodhisattvas everywhere. Every pore. And in every pore and from every part of Samantabhadra's body can be seen all the beings and entities of this world and of all worlds throughout the past, future, and present. Can you imagine? I mean, just try to imagine even just for a moment. It already completely takes you beyond the limitations of your conscious mind and the sense of, we were talking about with the Genjo koan, inconceivable. There's so much, whatever we think is going on, it's inconceivable. And Samantabhadra is just lighting it all up in every pore. Seeing Samantabhadra is rare, but extremely fortunate and ensures great enlightening insight and awareness. And just to hear the name Samantabhadra is said to be highly auspicious. So it's a really good thing you came this morning. You didn't know how auspicious it was going to be when you rolled out of bed and decided to show up here. Okay, so in the Avatamsaka Sutra, one of the most important things, and one of the things that most people know about Samantabhadra is Samantabhadra has 10 vows. And that's really important. So I'm going to let you know Samantabhadra's 10 vows because they might encourage you or illuminate your own shining bodhisattva radiant pores throughout time and space, because I always figure if you are a vowing being, which I don't think you would show up here if you weren't a vowing being, whatever way that means to you. There's no past, present, or future. It's like we've been doing this together forever. These deep-hearted, yes, I wills. We just showed up in this form this time around. But we've been wandering around lifetimes, timeless time, just illuminating and being illuminated by how we want to live and wake up. So here's Samantabhadra's vows to reflect and mirror. First three are all about devotion. Venerate Buddhas, praise Buddhas, make offerings to Buddhas. So devotion to awakening and to those who have realized awakening. It arises out of the Bodhisattva's humility and heartfelt gratitude. That's so important. Humility and heartfelt gratitude. Maybe when you walk with an elephant, you have a little bit of the just humility of each step and the weight of each step and the gratitude of. When I try to walk with an elephant, there's always some kind of internal swing that starts to happen in me. It's really different. Well, and Samantabhadra, excuse me, I have to remind us, I have 7 legs. Can you imagine walking with dignity with 7 legs? No wonder why you'd be humble and grateful. And you'd have to walk slower, you'd never get any place. Okay. In their devotion, Samantabhadra not only venerates Buddhas, but also vows to praise them and the virtue of their awakening activity. So Samantabhadra spreads the news that there are Buddhas everywhere and the possibility of waking up. You don't have to walk up to people and say, hey, did you know there are Buddhas everywhere and you really are a Buddha and you have the possibility of waking up? But how do you live that and enact that? That's what Samantabhadra does. Mm-hmm. By offering the practical offering of their own life activity and dedication. It says Buddhist legend stresses the importance of the spirit of offering rather than the quantity or quality of the riches of the offering. So dedication of merit, that's why we do the dedication of merit. It's just, we don't keep it for ourselves. We don't measure it. It may seem really, really small, but we just keep giving it away to the whole world. And then, at least you think you don't have anything to offer these great very special and building sand castles and grains of sand. Samantabhadra's devotional attitude toward all of creation. With that attitude, we can offer Buddha a beautiful sunset. Just when you're looking at a beautiful sunset, offer it to all the Buddhas and the Buddhas who are waking up across time and space. The drifting clouds, a field of wildflowers, a baby's smile, and our efforts to act with kindness. Just keep dedicating to goodness and awakening. We can offer the nourishment to Buddha as we eat an orange. Of course, the classic, if you've ever seen, I can't find it anymore. Thich Nhat Hanh had a beautiful video that he did of just eating an orange that to me is one of the most beautiful, sensual offerings I've ever seen. Just open an orange, or to go out and eat. Go take a walk and notice the apples on the apple trees right now. And the offering of the trees and the abundance, and take one and eat it and taste it, and the seeds and this is Samantabhadra's realm of just gratitude and humility. Okay, 4th one. Confess one's own misdeeds, which is what we do at the beginning of the Bodhisattva ceremony. Throughout numerous past lives, even such a great Bodhisattva has caused suffering in various ways. That's kind of reassuring to know. I mean, sad, but it means not special. Samantabhadra has the humility to realize and acknowledge this. We can only awaken to our clear, radiant nature by examining and acknowledging the ways that we cling in our own delusions that inhibit us seeing in a deeper way. The more we can openly acknowledge our failings, the more we lose their power. They lose their power, and we can see how to not be caught by them. Another good reason to have Samantabhadra around as a bud. 5. Rejoice in the happiness of others. Seeing people enjoy their lives and develop their capacity for bringing joy to others is what gives Samantabhadra their deepest pleasure. Rejoice in the happiness of others. That's a really serious, big practice. You could say sympathetic joy. I've been noticing recently when I see something and something arises that feels competitive or comparing, or can we just say, I am so happy for you that you are experiencing this moment of joy and happiness and giving in your life. Yeah. So Samantabhadra vows to genuinely be happy for others who are happy, regardless of superficial judgments about whether they deserve their good fortune or not. It also includes seeing and acknowledging the virtuous acts of others, not just their limitations. And of course, we can do this with ourselves. When we adopt this vow to truly appreciate the happiness and goodness of others, we are doing Samantabhadra's practice. 6 and 7. You still in for this? You want to hear it? The rest of them? Okay. Request Buddhas to teach and request Buddhas not to enter nirvana. Okay, when Shakyamuni Buddha was first awakened, the story is that their experience of awakening was so vast. Shakyamuni said, there is no way I'm going to be able to tell anybody about this or put it into words or teach it. They'll never believe it. They'll never get it. And so all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas and Indra and everybody said, Buddha, you vowed to sit down underneath the Bodhi tree to wake up with and for all beings. Come on. You have to find a way to do this. So a Buddha realizes that this world as it is a beautiful Buddha land that completely expresses perfection. So Buddha found ways to say it's right here. It's not someplace else. You don't have to imagine something cosmic or big or going beyond. I'm just going to help you be here, and I'm going to be here with you. And I'm going to help all of you wake up. So Samantabhadra always says to Buddhas when they think, no, I don't have anything to say. That often happens here, actually, when I say to people, would you say something? And people go, I don't have anything to say. And then people just say, okay, maybe I don't have anything to say, but I'll try it just because, well, one, because I asked them, and maybe they don't want to say no, but I think it's also a sense of love and offering for Sangha members, which is for all beings, is I'll just try to say something and do the best I can. And the other thing is that trying to go back and forth between my words and is Buddha's, the idea is that a Buddha, when you become a full Buddha, you completely are already one with everything. So you've already dissolved. So there's no coming, there's no going. You're already completely free. So when a Buddha in a human body looks like they're entering nirvana or quote dying, it's like there's no reason that a Buddha is caught by anything and has to come back to this world. These are all ideas, but I think it does express something. Because there's no time. It's like I imagine when I die. This is my imagining. When I die, there's going to be lots of me going, well, wait a minute, I can't leave everybody, and I didn't finish it. And I got 100 million things to finish and whatever. But a Buddha's just free. But Samantabhadra and the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas say, no, come back. Come back. Don't leave. We need you here. And so, of course, a Buddha, I mean, how could you say no? And so then they come back and we come back as Buddhas and Bodhisattvas just because we care. Okay, number 8 is study the Dharma in order to teach it. All Buddhist students must request the teaching, demonstrating a sincere desire to follow spiritual path in order to fully receive it from a teacher and from the teachings. I read that just because I thought that was interesting, which means you showed up. You know, it's like if you didn't want to know the teachings, you wouldn't be here. You'd be doing something else. Samantabhadra's 8th vow is to study the Buddha Dharma in order to be able to teach it yourself, or to live it, or to be it. It's like, here's an offering that was handed down across time and space. Please. When you don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. When the world looks crazy, the world is crazy. But there are these beautiful teachings that have been offered to us, and we keep coming back over and over again so that we can enact it and be it. Samantabhadra studies include sutras, but also teachings from meditation, from moonlight reflected on the ocean, from fear and anxiety, and from old age, sickness, and death. Samantabhadra just wants to help through the teachings. 9 and 10. Benefit all beings and transfer one's merit to others. Carrying out the 9th vow, Samantabhadra does whatever is necessary to help beings, taking on social roles for the sake of those who are suffering. Implies helping in personal situations, and also recognizing the systemic problems in society that may produce suffering and finding means of facilitating change. And the 10th is about merit. It's always pass it on, not to practice for your own personal well-being. Samantabhadra's 10th vow means that they do not practice hoping to achieve results. They just do it because that's what bodhisattvas do. That's what our heart says do. In the middle of our everyday activity in the world, amidst difficulties in our workplace or family, mindfully recalling these 10 vows can be a great help. You could even write them down, put them on your mirror. These kind of things, or a picture of Samantabhadra. I mean, whatever of these, like some things kind of stick in a way like, whoa, Samantabhadra really talks to me. Or maybe it's not Samantabhadra, but oh, Kiteshvara. But there's teachings from each of them. But if you put them around, they help you. I mean, they're helping you anyway, but I really do believe they become more accessible the more you call them forward. Reciting or remembering these vows allows us to engage in our ordinary life in a way that activates our awakened and beneficial nature. Okay, just a couple more things, if I can find it, is that how many pages? Samantabhadra emphasizes the interrelationship of all things. So Samantabhadra really could be a bodhisattva for the environment and environmentalism. I mean, they all are, but in a particular way. One striking aspect of Samantabhadra's vision is the teaching role of inanimate objects. The lands of the Flower Ornament Sutra with their jeweled trees, lakes, clouds, palaces, light beams, and flowers demonstrate and awaken beings to the luminous reality of interconnectedness and openness. The world is not a collection of dead objects. In pure Buddha lands, including this world of ours, every single thing joins in the enlightening work of Buddhas. Samantabhadra's application of wisdom is centered on guarding and caring for the world, as expressed most directly in the vow to share the Dharma, to benefit beings, and to transfer merit. Which, of course, if you did all of these things, everybody would want to go out and take care of the earth and all of its beings, because it's so clear. What else would you do when you know that everything is you and everything is vast and interconnected in times? So I thought I would just offer 2 short stories from Blanche and Steve Stickey as examples of human beings. And then I'm going to ask you to think about human beings that might be Samantabhadra guides for you. Taigen brings forward Aung Suu Kyi, which is interesting in Burma because she's clearly revealed herself to be complicated, as we all are. Rachel Carson, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, people who are kind of shining lights in the world, but they don't have to be big shining lights. I'll bet little shining lights. So here's something that Blanche has in Seeds for a Boundless Life. People said that, what I remember people saying is that Blanche, when she worked in the kitchen, on the kitchen altar, she always said Samantabhadra, and that they would always, before they worked, would bow to Samantabhadra. That was the dedication of their work. But here she's talking about Suzuki Roshi's son, Huitsu, and going and visiting him at his monastery, which is a wonderful thing to do. What she noticed about Huitsu, she's saying that she had become the abbess, and she was, of course, a little overwhelmed by everything she had to do and everything everybody was asking from her, and that she wanted to protect herself, and people were asking too much. But then she went to see Huitsu, and Huitsu had a ready availability. If you knocked on the door, it was always hi, which is yes. What can I do for you? He would drop what he was doing and turn towards you and be there right there. I don't know how you were at this, but I was in practice with this one. I'm absorbed in what I'm doing, and my husband comes and asks me about something. It's like, and then I remember, and then I take a breath, and then I turn towards him, but it's an ongoing practice, so that in fact, we noticed that we really had to limit ourselves and be sure that we really needed to call on him, because he was going to respond any time we called on him. It was never, I'm too busy now, come back later. That's practice we could all pick up. And here's a story about Steve Stuckey. Wrenchen Bunce was transmitted by Steve, dearly loves Steve, and she's starting to compile stories about him. And so people are sending in stories. And this is from Anne-Laure David, who some of you may know. She says, when I moved to Marin County in 2004, I became a member of Dharma Eye Zen Center, the little Sangha Steve led. In 2006, I received Jukai from him, and a month after the ceremony, I became paralyzed in my left arm. Pain overwhelmed me, and my sensory issues shot through the roof. I could no longer attend the weekly evening meetings with Dharma Eye. When Steve started to offer Dokusan at a biking distance from where I lived, and at a time of day, I was still up early afternoon. I had no money, but he let me come and see him once a week with a ceremonial fee of $1. I was often crying during our meetings. He made a metta card for me, which I'll show you, it's on the back of here, and made sure that I translated each of the 4 sentences into French, which is her native language. I still recite these verses from time to time. And when I told him that the traditional medical clinic I went to did not know what to do with me, he offered to come with me to see the doctor. I was touched by his offering to help me for real. I turned this offer down because I did not want to saddle him with what I knew to be a complex medical diagnosis. And she was finally diagnosed as autistic, and that's part of her practice. I knew Steve was about to become the abbot of San Francisco Zen Center. I always remember his all-encompassing support. All-encompassing support. The little card that he wrote for her at the back says, "May I be happy. May I be free of worries and live in safety. May I be at ease and abide in peace. For Anne-Laure." Little things, but things that are big, little offerings of just kindness. How can I help? Of course, this also makes me feel guilty, and I think I can help a lot more, but on the other hand, that's not the point of it, so please don't do that to yourself, but just be encouraged by Samantabhadra. Little things. Oh. Okay, so let's go into, why don't we just go into groups of 2 and have